All right, well, welcome to Lunch Bunch on this Thursday, October 9th. October 9th, and we're going over chapter 9. Where are you?
My house.
I see that, but it's just a different angle.
I moved my desk around and I came out of the closet.
Oh, you're no
Literally, not figuratively.
longer.
So my desk, my desk was facing the wall, but now it's facing my living room.
Okay.
So I have room behind me.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And you know what you can do with that area, what I'm about to do with my area is make a holiday display. And so you can have that in all your videos and that kind of thing. Hello, Crystal. Oh, let me
Hi,
give
how's it
Crystal
going?
her sticker as we do our Lunch Bunch accountability. Crystal has been at every single Lunch Bunch so far. And you've probably been to every meeting too, right?
I think
Or-
so.
Yep, you've been to every Monday, you've been to every Thursday. Congratulations. Consistency
Hmm.
is sexy. So we're on chapter 9, and this is like a whole new section of the book about overcoming chronic comparison. And chapter 9 is titled, Yes, Life Isn't Fair. So, have you both read the chapter?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your opening thoughts to chapter 9?
Well, basically, what it says, life's not fair. So you might as well suck it up, buttercup, and move on.
Rub some dirt on it. How about you, Crystal?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We all, I think, get stuck playing the comparison game, but I was trying to change that thought around and what cards are we holding that we can use and not compare to, other people. That was kind of my thought after the chapter.
What are the tools you can use to not
Yes,
compare?
like what are the tools you're already equipped with to focus on instead of comparing yourself to other.
Right.
I think
And
it's
what,
easier. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Leslie.
I think it's easier to get sucked in that comparison than it is to get yourself out of it or to pull yourself back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very easy to, I think we compare it to other people,
That thought process.
not
Yeah.
even realize it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just second nature almost
Mm-hmm.
because we do it so much. It's so easy.
So, what are the tools? Crystal, what do you feel is a tool that would help you not compare?
Um, Kind of focusing on like what I've already accomplished, what maybe comes easier to me, um, becoming a better version of myself than maybe I was before or yesterday, and continuing to learn and be educated and approach things in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
So you can compare yourself to you, but not to like other people. Is
Right.
healthy. It's not easy.
Right. Leaning on the side of
But yeah,
gratitude. What am I grateful for that I do have? Right. And becoming the greatest version of you. Speaking of, there are tickets still available Saturday, Crystal, and we would love to see you there because they're going to actually be going over some of these things and giving us tools that we can use. And so we would absolutely love to have you there with us. What do you think are some tools, Leslie, to get out of comparison?
So I like the part that she talked about if we have running water and we're sitting here reading this book, like we are so much more fortunate than half the people. And I think we see more of the good and what everybody else has versus what people don't have. I mean, we have a house to live in. Um, it- and I see it in my kids a lot. You know, this kid in class has got, such and such shoes, or, they live in this big old house, but what's on the other side of that house? Like we may live in a small house and we may not have like the best and the biggest and the best, and we're not rolling with the Joneses, but I guess on the flip side, if you really look inside, like what we have is more, what's the word? Like it's not touchable. What's that word?
It's not touchable. You mean
Yeah,
it's
like it,
like priceless,
right. Like
right?
half those people that live in those big houses, are they really even happy? You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's really big and it's hard to be able to tell your kids that too. But I think just focus on more on what you do have versus what you don't have, because if you look at it that way, you actually have a lot more than other people do have. I mean, we have vehicles to get ourselves to work. We have food on the table. You know, we're not trying to cash in our pennies to get some ramen noodles for supper. You know what I'm saying? Like just focusing on what we do have.
Right. Hi, Tara. It reminds me of a song when you said, we don't have the big house, we have a smaller house. There's a song called Love Grows Big in Small Houses. And so, like my visual, when you see like a mansion, everybody's in their own wing, where small houses, the family comes together more often out of having to come together more often with less space, right? And so there's more communication and time together and that kind of thing. But I'm not saying love can't grow in a mansion. They can come together in the same room. So I don't want to, put that out there either for those of you in mansions. So hey, Tara, we have Jody coming in, our steady Eddies. All of you are on target for consistency, either being here every single week or just missing one so far. Congratulations, Jody. Jody and Crystal are our two every single week. They're on here. And let me look at Jody over here. And Jody's been on every single Monday night as well. Where's Tara? Tara's been on every single Monday night. That's awesome. So good. All right, so we are reviewing chapter 9. Life isn't always fair, but that's okay. And about comparison. So, Tara, what are your thoughts on this chapter?
So I know we say this each week, and I know I have, I'll speak for me, but I know some of us have said it too. Every time we are in a chapter, it's like that chapter is the one for everything that's going on that week. And this week, so much because I live in a military town. It's the largest military base in the whole United States. And of course, there's a government shutdown. And so none of our military are getting paid. And so everybody's panicked. We also have lots of government GS workers, lots of veterans who still get paid for now. And so it's just the talk of the town of who has what job and who has what money. And that's everything you hear right now on not the social media, but like in our women's circles, in the restaurants, everybody is all they're talking about. And life isn't fair. I've heard literally 3 times this week just that phrase. And how life isn't fair and how, well, if I had this job or if I had done this, and everybody's in that comparison mindset anyway. So it was really great. Oh, yeah. So it was really great to be able to have the mind frame, having read this going into the week, and having read it before too, to have that mind frame of not thinking about comparing yourself to anybody else, which is always hard, at least for me to do. But
For everybody.
especially now hearing it with everybody, it's just, and so I've been able to be like that, hey, just let them do what they're doing, you guys just prepare yourselves and do what you can. And so it's opened up lots of business conversations too, but anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
So you should be medaled already at this
Yeah.
point.
I have so many people that are like, hey, I need this, and hey, do you have any sales, do you have this? And so yeah, that's
And
picked
if
up
they're
this.
not wanting to join, let them host a party for you and earn it for free, right?
Yep.
How about you, Jody?
It's We always tell our kids when they're complaining, life isn't fair. Like, get over it. Like, this is part of it. Like, we start with our kids very young, so like they're not or I did. So they wasn't so sheltered. Like, whenever they got out there, they were like, "Whoa, what the world?" And we, but I say we, but me constantly do compare a lot. I mean, I think we all do it. You ride past your neighbor's house and they're like, well, them sap suckers done got a new such and such.
Sapsucker.
Or, you know, I mean, like, we're always
What is a
trying, you know,
sapsucker? Like they're sucking sap out of a tree? What does that mean? I don't even know.
sap suckers.
Just a southern
That's
saying.
Southern
that's
thing.
some Madison Southern. But
Oh, it was on Bugs Bunny, Tom said. Sapsuckers was a yellow belly sapsucker. That's what Tom says. Hi, Adam. Why isn't he in school? Is he sick? What's going on? We're not going to talk about it?
Not right now.
Okay.
it's playing hooky. So anyway, it is, I mean, our fleshly self, we do that.
Mhm.
But it is sometimes harder than other times. I guess it's when you're going through something, you know, to always want more instead of looking at what you've got and being grateful for what God's gave you.
Yeah.
And not to get, you know, all, but the Bible tells you, God tells us, you know, he gives us trials and tribulations, and we kind of see how we get through those. And then when we can manage those, he gives us more. So, I mean, if we all believe in the Bible, the life is not fair. God told us life isn't fair, but this is what I'm gonna do for y'all. So, I mean, it's a
that's
hard.
why all this stuff keeps happening to me, because I get through one and he goes, oh, good, you can handle it. Let me give you this one too.
Yeah, a little bit bigger.
Maybe I need to stop handling it all. And I'm kidding.
I know, but it is what it, I mean, like this chapter, I read it last Thursday. Like, as soon as we got off, I went and started reading it because I was like, oh, I got to have some of this life ain't fair stuff. Because
Mhm.
I don't like to, excuse my words. I catch myself easily sometimes, you know, getting caught up with the oh me's and why's, and, you know, life isn't fair. So,
Mm.
Carol,
Carol.
get through this chapter, it will, I think it's a great tool for even the best of people. I'm sure the best of people have some struggles with this because it is naturally.
Right. And when we think of the best of people in Mary Kay, we think of like national sales directors, right? And I've heard nationals talk about their comparison game with other nationals. I mean, it happens at every single level. This chapter made, well, let me check with Carol. Carol, you there? We don't see you or hear you. You're muted and your camera's off. So I just wanted to include you in the conversation, and you all got your stickers on the attendance chart today. And those of you watching on replay, we'd love more people. We want Lunch Bunch to look like this attendance chart, right? Wouldn't that be great? Okay, so Carol must not be able to unmute. When I read this chapter, I kept thinking about my, I'm going to say with air quotes, best friend growing up. And we're not best friends anymore. I still love her and know her, and we're cordial, but we are not inner circle kind of people to each other, right? And one of her sayings that she would say to me all the time is, man, it must be nice to have a horseshoe stuck up your ass. That's what she would say to me. My best friend would say this to me all the time, because nothing good ever happened for her, but it always happened for me. And I don't look at it that way. I see that things were not going the way that I wanted them to go, but maybe they were going better than they were going for her, right? And I didn't quite understand it at that time in my life. Like, why is she so upset if something good happens to me? You know, I really didn't understand that. And I put up with it for a very long time. It was an abusive friendship, you know, because it was very one way. And you know, like, oh, I don't want her to be mad at me, so let me just go out of my way to, you know, not tell her all the good things that are happening to me. There's Carol.
Oh,
Hi,
it's one of those
beautiful.
days.
One of those days. Oh, girl, I know. I know. Did you have anything to share from chapter 9? Life isn't always fair, but that's okay.
Um, Not really. Where I walk every morning, I see so many homeless people come into the mall, and I mean, it every morning I realize how blessed I am and how grateful I am.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Things were put into perspective for me yesterday. You know, we have had two sick dogs. We had to put one down this morning, and another one's in the hospital. And you know, as we're having lunch with our friends who are missionaries who just got back from living 8 years in Thailand doing mission work, their son died a year ago in a motorcycle accident. How old was he? 17?
Yeah, I believe so.
17 years old. Very skilled motorcycle driver, you know. And it just really put things in perspective, you know, where I'm stressing out over dogs and this and that, but I also have the emotional maturity to know I'm going to outlive my dog. You know, like I can get through this. It's sad. It's not that it doesn't affect me at all, but I also can lean on the side of gratitude that my son is 28 years old and with me and lives down the street. You know what I mean? And so it really, and then the homeless, right? Like Leslie was saying earlier, people who don't have electricity or running water or houses with windows. You know, there's so much for us to lean on in those moments of comparison. You know, I could say, why can't this dog be as healthy as Tiki was for 18 years? You know, he lived for 18 years. I've spent more on this puppy in a month than I've spent on Tiki in 18 years, you know. But the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, you know, we don't want to should all over ourselves. And so just looking at what I do have and the blessings, you know, that I can see, what can I do today? Because you know what? I could have canceled some things and Tiki's still dead and Penny's still in the hospital. That's not going to change a thing, right? But I love the fact that in Mary Kay, when we work, it's a blessing and it's overcoming and it's lifting and it's empowering, all those things, right? And so that's the last thing I want to do on a day like today is cancel my Mary Kay things. I want to be able to have some time to book some more Mary Kay things. That's been a struggle to just get on the phone and make more bookings and that kind of thing. But it's also, you know, just a moment in time. And I was talking with National Sales Director Karen Rydell this morning. Today is one of her days of silence, which I would normally attend. And I would participate for a whole day of silence and being in the Word. And normally they're on Fridays, and for a couple months they have to be on Thursdays. So I'm not able, unless I cancel all my things with you guys, which I don't ever want to do, I just can't participate. But it's honestly one of the days that I've needed it the most. And she has me in an accountability group that does certain things every day, right? Getting 2 bookings every day, having 8 faces a week, 4 career chats a week, leading with vision consistently and prioritizing time with God daily. And I've really struggled to be accountable in that group over this last week. And I just apologized to her. I'm like, I have not been as verbal in that group as I want to be. And I just wanted to explain to you why. And she's like, girl, you are accountable. You know, I mean, even Tom says that you're so accountable. It's like scary sometimes, you know, with my 10,000 steps every day. If I'm limping, I'm getting the steps in by the end of the day, like I'm dragging myself across the finish line, you know. So I know I know that's a strength of mine. And so when I can't do it, that's when I start to really, you know, beat myself up and compare myself to everybody else who's not having all these issues with their dogs and life and that kind of thing, you know. So I think it's really important to remember our strengths and our gratitude for what we do have and what we are able to do. Because I didn't have to ask anybody for time off to go in with Tiki this morning or to take Penny to the hospital last night. Like, and Tom works from home. Granted, he hasn't been as available because he has a lot more appointments that he has to be on, you know, for his job, and that he would have to ask permission in order to take off. And I am so grateful that I have the flexibility, but we also have to be real careful not to flexibility ourselves out of business. You know? So, you know, on a week like this, life isn't fair. These hospital stays are not cheap for dogs, surgeries. Mm-mm. But I'm grateful that I had a settlement with my insurance policy, so that's going to help. But I don't want to spend it all on dog bills either. You know, I'd like to not build up any more debt. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, I'm sorry. I did not know that you were going through that this morning. I hadn't been on my phone, so if you did share that, I did not, and I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But I'll remember this and push through.
Right.
Um,
And I think, you know, the longer you're in Mary Kay and the longer you don't quit, right? You're going to hear things like that. Well, you know, I've heard a lot of stories, a lot more than you have ever heard, Jody, of overcoming and showing up anyway, even when we don't feel like it. We're there, right? Like I was still on um Rising Red Rumble last night while taking the dog to the ER. Again, like last month, the night of Rising Red
There.
Rumble, I was supposed to MC and I was taking her to the ER then as well, right? Hi, Jane.
I made it. Sorry, I'm late.
You made it. Welcome to Lunch Bunch. I'm going to add you to our Lunch Bunch attendance chart and give you your first sticker.
It's starting to rain here, just to let you know.
Yeah, we're talking about chapter 9. This is like a whole new section of the book that is about comparison. And it's overcoming chronic comparison. And chapter 9 is titled, Yes, Life Isn't Fair. And so we were just talking about my situation. I had brought up about my dogs. I know you knew a little bit about that yesterday when
Yes.
we were talking, but I actually did end up putting my older dog down this morning, and our younger one is admitted into the hospital again.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, well, you know, no one's going to tell you not to feel emotions through things like that, but also how to overcome that, you know. And so I was sharing, the longer you're in Mary Kay, you're going to continue to hear these stories of overcoming and doing their Mary Kay business through something really hard helps overcome it, helps get on the other side of it. Like Mary Kay Ash, when her husband Mel died, it was the week of leadership conference. Nobody expected her to be at that conference. Nobody. And she came out from behind the curtain and
Wow.
just blew minds because she knew Mel would want her there. And she knew it would make her feel better to be around her Mary Kay sisters. I mean, we lift each other up, we make each other feel good, and we are being a blessing to somebody else when we show up. And so, you know, knowing I have 4 Zooms on my calendar today, I could have canceled all of them and everybody would have fully understood why I was canceling them. My dog would still be dead and the other one would still be in the hospital. Nothing changed, but I was sitting there thinking about it rather than pouring into other people or, you know, going through going through what we do, which is a blessing. And I'm so grateful. You know, we're like, how do we overcome the comparison game of, man, she's got a better life. Man, why can't I have a healthy dog like that person over there, you know, kind of thing. But I have the blessing and flexibility to be able to help in these situations. You know, we took Tiki in first thing this morning, and then the hospital on the other end of another town, 2 towns over, needed us to bring homemade turkey so that so that Penny would eat, because she's not eating and her numbers are significantly dropping and it's dangerous levels. So it's like one, you know, drastic side to the other, but still able to get home and get showered and log on here by noon. Like, it just blew my mind that that happened. And I had even accepted the fact that if I don't get showered before these 2 Zooms, I have this Zoom and then one immediately following for happy hour, which you are invited to, Jane, as a sparkler. So, you know, had I not been showered and ready, that was just going to be part of my story. It's not going to be the end of the world if my hair looks a little crazy. And then get this, as soon as I'm done with happy hour, I got to go 2 towns over to get my hair cut. So, like, I styled my hair so I could go get it cut so I can come home and style it again for the 2 other Zooms I have going on tonight. But I'm so happy to be so majorly distracted today through all
You are funny.
Well, you know, there's definitely an emptiness to the house right now.
Oh
And,
yeah. It's tough.
I mean,
It's tough.
we went from 2 dogs to having no dogs in the house right now. It's just
Yeah.
weird. You know,
That's
Tom
tough.
just went for a walk by himself. Like, I'm still gonna go walk, you know. And neither of us have ever put a dog down. You know, I've had many dogs when I was growing up. They just moved to farms or ran away. You know, I didn't even know what was happening. And as an adult, the dogs that I've had, I've either had to adopt out to somebody else or they died and I had to take them into the vet. Like, I had one dog die as we were driving her to the vet because something was
No.
really wrong with her. So anyway, I've never actually had to make the decision to put down a dog and then hold that dog as they passed away. And as we were coming home, you guys, there was the most vivid, beautiful, full rainbow the entire way home.
Oh.
So
Oh.
that gave me so much peace. You know, I was really anxious. Like, did I just rush into that because I'm stressed out? Right? Did I just put Tiki down because I was stressed out? But I mean, he really failed this morning. His leg locked up. He couldn't walk. He couldn't poop. He was crying. Like, things were bad. So,
Oh.
all right. So with that being said, we were talking about, you know, how do we get over comparison? How do we get over looking at somebody going, why did they have such a good life and we don't? And that's not, we don't know, you know, we don't know what's going on in their life. But we can always lean on the side of gratitude and always lean on the side of faith. So very happy about that. What do you do, Jane, when it comes to comparison with other people? Have you ever had that thought or set yourself up with tools on what to do in those moments?
Whenever I'm having a down day, I always say, my husband had died of ALS. And so I said, I can walk, I can talk, and I can see. So that brings me back to reality, because Steve lost his ability to walk. Then he lost his ability to talk. And my brother is legally blind. And so I think, you know, I can still do those 3 things. Yes, times are tough for, you know, for what I went through, but there's always somebody worse off than me. And I learned that's from my mom. So.
That's so good. Crystal put in the chat, Patrick and I did that with my 5-year-old cat a few years ago. He had some health problems and unexpectedly passed away on the way to the vet. It was so sad. Yeah. But you didn't decide to make the cat die. You know, like, it's such a different feeling.
Right.
But it felt like losing like a child. Like, I haven't actually done that, but that's how it felt.
Right.
Yeah, it is your child. They are your children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was
Yeah.
putting things into
We do
perspective.
that.
Yeah. And before you came on, Jane, I was putting things in perspective because we had lunch with our friends yesterday who just got back from 8 years missionary work in Thailand. And their 17-year-old son died in a motorcycle accident last year. So it's like, well, I still have my son. He's 28 years old and he's living down the street, you know. So, and Leslie was saying, you know, some people don't have electricity or or a roof over their head or running water, and there's just so much to lean on the side of gratitude. But we have to have the emotional maturity to actually do that and not get caught up in a temper tantrum, not get caught up in pouting, right? It's okay to feel those things, but what are we going to do for ourselves to lift ourselves out of that scenario? What does your shirt say, Jody? Be real, not perfect.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. You sap sucker. She said that earlier and I had never heard it before. So now it's going to be it's going to be my new thing. All right. So I have this workbook that kind of puts the chapters in a nutshell. So I'm going to read some summary here. In this chapter, Robbins tackles a hard truth. Life isn't fair. Instead of resisting this reality, she argues that accepting it frees individuals from the toxic cycle of comparison. The more people fixate on what others have, the less energy they have to focus on their own growth. She introduces two types of comparison, which I thought was really interesting. Upwards comparison is looking at those who seem more successful, privileged, or talented and feeling inadequate. And she used her daughters as an example in that because her one daughter, can eat whatever she wants and she doesn't gain a pound and she's got pitch perfect voice and can sing, and the other one is complete opposite, struggles with her weight and can't sing a note. And then there's downward comparison, recognizing one's advantages by comparing them to those who are less fortunate in less fortunate circumstances. So Robin shares a personal story about her daughter, Sawyer, okay, I just said that, who struggled with self-esteem by constantly comparing herself to her sister Kendall's different talents and physical attributes. She highlights how focusing on unchangeable traits like family background, genetics, or physical characteristic only drains energy that could be used to improve areas within one's control, right? We can't control which family we're born into. We can't control where we live when we're born, what else was she saying? Or the pitch in our voice or the metabolism in our body, or if we're born diabetic, or if we're born, with a deformity, those kind of things are out of our control. The chapter also addresses the mental health risks of excessive comparison. Studies show that an obsessive need to control unchangeable aspects of life can fuel anxiety, depression, and even self-destructive behaviors. Robbins emphasizes the importance of shifting your perspective, choosing gratitude over resentment, and focusing on personal growth rather than unfair circumstances. Right. Crystal says that's not healthy. It is not. Anybody have any feedback from that before I move on? Examples, maybe a story. All right, so marginal gains, small shifts that make a big difference. Recognizing the difference between what you can and can't control. So as we get upset over something, really taking a step back and going, can I control this? Or is this outside of my control? Just recognizing that and seeing that perspective. Redirecting your energy from comparison to personal improvement. So if this is something that I can control, what am I going to do to make this better? Right? I can say this now because he's out on a walk. So Tom was complaining about his job. And for a while, he was looking for another job. And then he stopped looking for another job because he didn't really even have the time to spend outside of work. I mean, plus dog things and all this going on, right? To take the time to look. And so he was complaining again the other day. And I said, well, how many jobs have you applied to? I can't. Then we can't complain about it. If we're not going to work at changing the situation, which you can change, you can absolutely change this situation, then we can't complain about it. Just apply for another job, right? We have jobs. So that's a great thing to look at, right? What are the good things? And sometimes it's really hard to see the good things when you're so overwhelmed with the negative of what's happening. You know, all the criticism he's getting at work over things that are outside of his control is really weighing on him. Practicing gratitude to counteract feelings of inadequacy. And you guys, at this event on Saturday, we're going to go over, there's going to be so much talk about this stuff. I'm so excited about it. Carol, get on a flight from Indiana, get yourself here for Saturday and attend the greatest version of yourself, becoming the greatest version of yourself, because it's going to be incredible. And then shifting from competitive mindset to a growth focused one. And it can be competitive, but competitive with yourself, right? So rather than being accountable for myself, as I was saying earlier about the accountability group that I'm in with directors, I started comparing myself to what the other directors were doing and I wasn't doing. Even though their situation is very different from my situation right now. And so that wasn't serving anybody to get frustrated with the fact that they had more bookings than I did. And I know y'all have done it. Maybe not Jane, because she's too new. She just joined a few days ago. But I know you've all compared yourself to how many bookings somebody else has. Right? And so stop it. There's this Tim Conway skit where he is a psychiatrist and he charges $5 for the appointment. And all he keeps doing is yelling, "Stop it!" when they talk about why they're there for counseling. And he goes, "Okay, stop it. Just stop it. Stop doing that." Anybody see that? I'll have to share it with you guys. Linda Tupin shared it with the directors and it was just so funny. Like anytime somebody complains, she puts that recording in our director group of Tim Conway going, "Stop it." You just got to laugh sometimes too, right? The limitless potential plateau. By letting go of resentment over life's unfairness, individuals can unlock greater emotional freedom and confidence. Instead of feeling stuck in comparison, they begin seeing opportunities where they once saw obstacles. Anybody have that example? Where once you shifted, I know Leslie and Jody have it. Like just even with the grade 8 and your coaching that you've been receiving, there have been many examples of, I wasn't looking at it that way, and now I see a completely different opportunity, right? Can you think of an example?
Well, I'll speak up. I mean, really when Leslie came in and she came in like a gangbuster, and I was like, well, why in the heck is she getting all these bookings and how is she getting all these parties? And there was some people, you know, in a small town that I'd reached out to that would tell me no or ignore me. And then, you know, Leslie's having a party for them. And I'm like, well, I be blah, blah, blah. You know, and it did, but that was before coaching. And it is honestly just how you look at it. Leslie's still getting more bookings than me, but I don't look at it the same way. She's getting more bookings from me because she's getting out and about more than me. And so our favorite, one of the favorite things that from coaching have learned is it's not happening to me, it's happening for me.
Right.
So, you know, that wasn't Leslie having more bookings was not happening to me. It was happening for me so I could get my crap together and get more bookings. So, it is a big mindset. And I think that people, I don't want to speak for Leslie, but even as successful Leslie's been in the little bit of time she's been in there, I think Leslie's probably even dealt with that too with some other people. It's kind of, I would say, kind of hard not to when you hear the Cinderella stories. They're beautiful in Mary Kay, but when you see them that they came in and, you know, in 90 days, they're driving a pink Cadillac and you're like, holy moly. Well, then it's like, well, I don't even have that many friends. Like, but so I think naturally we kind of do that, but it's how long you're going to waller in that or allow that emotion, because that is an emotional feeling, and you can stop those emotions with some type of tactic, and you can change the direction of those emotions. So I think we all do it. I think the most successful people still kind of catch themselves like, oh, that would be nice. But instead of, you know, my favorite saying, throw your sucker in the dirt and, you know, waller in it, you're like, well, thank you, God, for showing me how I can do this, instead of, you know, well, why do you got to rub this in my face? So I think it's all emotion. And whenever you can keep your emotions, and I don't know how to say this, maybe Leslie or Christy can say this better for me, because you're not supposed to stop your emotions. You're supposed to let it go through all the emotions, but you've got to be able to get through that cycle really quick and not get hung up in one of those, you know, turns getting out of your circle to spin out of it and keep on going. Does that make any sense? Because
You're actually training on that Monday night on our emotional cycle. So we're looking forward to that. You know, that's why it's in our unit affirmation that we do these tasks without being emotionally attached to the results. We're just going to do our job every day. And the results will come when we do it every day. And I heard in your story that Leslie was able to show you that those people will use Mary Kay or will try it. Maybe it was in the approach, maybe it was lack of follow-up, right? She followed up more with them than you had. You got to know, and you just raised your hand. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's possible that you didn't follow up 5 to 12 times.
might be.
And I think of Josie too, you know, her neighbor down the street, she was in 3 years before her neighbor down the street would finally say, you know, I'm looking for something. And I was wondering if you could talk, because she told her no once, and Josie just never asked her again. And finally, 3 years later, she came down and finally asked her. But she also has said, people in the villages don't want to sell Mary Kay. And then Jane comes, and I'm excited and share the opportunity. And she's like, I'll be darned. Someone joined my team, you know? So those comparisons are at every angle, every age, every step of the business. Like, everybody wants to be Josie, but Josie has her own comparisons that she's doing as well. You know, I don't mean to throw Josie under the bus, but with Jane being on here, I just, you know, it was an eye-opening moment for Josie to be able to see that there are people in the villages that are looking for avenues of income, that want to work. Jane's driving to my house for a makeover. Not everybody's not willing to drive an hour and a half to get a makeover and come to an event. You know what I mean? So just because that's your story doesn't mean that's everybody else's story. And so we just want to offer it and let them make up their mind for themselves, because really that comes down to prejudging too. When you compare and go, oh, that woman, she's set. Like, she's happy. She's got a nice house. She's got nice clothes. She doesn't need the Mary Kay opportunity, but it may be the girlfriends that she needs. It might not be money, right? So Leslie, you had unmuted to share as well before Jody did.
Well, I was just gonna say kind of the same thing as Jody. Like, I think it's very easy for us to look at the top sales directors and you see where they're at now, but when you actually hear them speak and you hear where they came from a place just where we were, or they came from a place worse than us, 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? But all we're seeing is, well, they're driving pink Cadillacs, so why can't I? You know what I'm saying? But they had to get there the same way we did. They're selling the same products as we're selling. They're doing everything that we have the opportunity to do. but it's very easy to look at them. And even, I mean, I know that I've compared myself to other people in other businesses. It's like, how did they got in just at the right time? You know what I'm saying? And we may have been selling the same thing, and why couldn't I, be selling like they're selling? And, they've just, but maybe they're better. Not that they're better than me, but they're probably doing it a lot differently than I'm doing it. But then I
I'll say
also,
this too, that there's people that make themselves look a lot more successful than they actually are.
well, that's true
Because
too.
that's where they're going, right? When I built my unit and became a sales director, nobody knew I was on public aid. They looked at me as, this woman's going somewhere. She's going to be a sales director. She's going to drive a free car. They had no idea I couldn't pay my bills yet, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so it could be part of their story too. And you're looking at their highlight reel that they're willing to post on social media, but you don't really know what her checkbook looks like.
Right. Right. And I think that's where social media really gets us too, is because we're scrolling social media and we're seeing, well, so and so got a new vehicle, and here I am, driving my beat up car. But I've got a car. I've got a car that gets me where I need to go.
Mhm.
Driving the trash truck, girl.
Right. And I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
It's okay. But they may be driving a nicer vehicle than me, but mine's paid for. And they probably are paying a $1,600 car payment a month that they're working their tail off. Or these people that live in these big, beautiful houses, well, that's great, but they don't go anywhere or do anything with their family because they can't afford to,
Yeah.
because they're married to their house. I mean, their house poor.
Right. Hearing Alden speak last night on the Rising Red Rumble, she shared that her and her husband were very successful, and they had a vision of this big beautiful house in Michigan, and they had bought their dream house, and right after they moved in, her husband got an email that his company shut down. Like, not even like, oh, we're going to lay you off and here's your severance. Like, nope. The
You're
whole
done.
company is gone. You have no job. Figure it out. Right? And so there's a lot of people that are in houses or in cars that they might have been able to afford when they signed on the dotted line, but now it's like, I can't figure it out. How am I going to do this? And that was me driving my nice car. I had a newer car. It was a used car, but it was a newer car. And I'll never forget going to Aldi and someone saying something to me about my car as I used my public aid card to pay for my groceries at Aldi. And this woman had no idea what was happening at my house, but saw that I drove a nice car and just assumed that I was taking advantage of a system that I wasn't.
It could be borrowed from somewhere.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
they don't know.
it wasn't. It was a car I couldn't afford. I was paying $600 a month for the car payment and another $400 for car insurance because I had a teenager that didn't know how to drive. So, it's like $1,000 a month that I really wasn't making yet. They ended up coming and towing that car away because I just had to give it up and find something older that we could pay for and didn't have to make a car payment on, kind of thing. And then we bought that and my son totaled it 13 days later. So there you go. We have a lot of stories about young drivers in our house. Very grateful for the car program in Mary Kay. That was the first brand new car I'd ever had when I earned my first Mary Kay car. I'd never actually had a new car before that. So, yeah. All right, we have just a few more minutes. So let me read through the last few takeaways. Does anybody else have anything they want to share before I do that? Tara, you had unmuted.
Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, going back to what Christy said, don't decide for them. Let them decide if they want to, be part of that. And then bring it into, like, I always have the theater perspective. So when you audition for things, you may audition for a lot of things. You probably will. You're gonna get told no a lot. And there's a local, like, director, actress. She's the president of the board and everything. So she's, pretty successful. She's been doing it for a long time. So whenever she auditions for something and doesn't get it, she gives herself like 24 or 48 hours to, like, be upset. And then she's like, that's it. I'm moving on. So that kind of relates to what we were discussing. Like, you can still feel, you're still going to feel things, like, but yeah, not forever.
Yep. It's called bounce back ability. How quickly are you going to bounce back? Are you going to sit in this for a month, for a week, for a day, for an hour, for 15 minutes? I'll cry for 15 minutes and then I'm moving on, right? Keep yourself busy. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, I was just gonna say two things. One, I have my little wall of sticky note reminders, and one that I have that I love about scrolling and looking at other people's lives, like to what Leslie said, was there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Stop scrolling through other people's lives and go live yours. And so I try to remember that all the time. And my husband will be like, stop the scroll, stop the scroll. So it's kind of like the video you said earlier. Like anytime he sees me scrolling, he's like, stop the scroll. So, and then the other thing I was going to say, oh, I ran into a former team member last year, and she instantly did like a comparison thing, like just in running into her in a store somewhere. And she was like, oh, how are you doing? Started out as sort of a friendly catch up. And she's like, well, how's the whole Mary Kay thing going? And so she's like, are you still in the world of pink? And so I said, oh, it's going fantastic, whatever. And so she's like, and you have your pink Cadillac yet? Or like, where are you at? What are you doing? And so I said, not yet, but working on it. And so she's like, I thought you would have had all that done already. I would have thought you would have been there already. And so I said, well, tell me about you. I just like skipped right over it. And I said, well, tell me about you. What are you doing? She's like, I've been moved up to management. And I was like, oh, okay. Where, what are you managing now? She's like, I'm manager at a Burger King. And I was like, oh, that's great. I said, management, awesome. Sit in charge of people. And so, she's like, well, give me your number and, we'll connect later. Okay. So I said, yeah, definitely, And so, I said, yeah, you have to check out some of our new products. And I just like kept it friendly and happy. Right. And, super bold. And I got back to the car and I thought, and not that there are all kinds of jobs. I've been there, but I was thinking like, how do you go in and she said, even more, but how do you go on this like 3 or 4 minute tirade comparing, where I haven't gotten where you feel like I should have been. And then you're no further along than, when I knew her, she was working at Burger King when I first met her. And so she's further along, but anyway, you don't understand what I'm saying. I was just kind of like,
Because when people react to you, they are reacting on how they are feeling about themselves.
right,
It
right.
had nothing to do with you.
Right. And I remembered that like later on that afternoon when I got back home and I thought there was something Christy and Leslie and Jody had said before. And I thought about that statement. Yep. That was her reaction. And so this book and you guys' statements instantly popped in my head. And I was like, okay, have a great day. So
Yep. It's her own insecurities coming out aimed at you. And we just have to remember that when, hurt people. And so when someone's coming at you with a feeling like that, like you're feeling attacked or whatever, even in the kindest way, the bless your heart kind of way, right? That's how they're feeling about themselves in that moment. So I have just a couple minutes left here because I do have to log off a couple minutes early to get into the happy hour Zoom. So the key takeaways: life isn't fair, and focusing on that fact won't change anything. Comparison, especially to factors outside of your control, prevents growth. True fulfillment comes from progress, not from measuring up to others. And a mindset shift from completion to collaboration improves mental well-being. So the common problems that are related to this topic are low self-esteem, which is constant comparison, eroding self-worth. Constant comparison, eroding self-worth. I will say on my Habit Finder assessment, my self-worth was the lowest out of all the things. My self-worth was definitely the lowest. 2, anxiety and depression. A focus on life's unfairness fuels stress and unhappiness. Number 3, a lack of motivation. When people feel they can't win, they stop trying. And number 4, bitterness and resentment. The fixation on others' advantages leads to negativity. So objectives that you want to reach is accept life's unfairness without letting it define you. Develop resilience by focusing on what you can improve. Stop self-sabotage by eliminating toxic comparison habits. catch yourself in it, let it go, and foster a mindset that values collaboration over competition. So your action plan here is to identify areas where comparison is limiting your happiness. Write down things you can change and commit to improving them. Practice gratitude daily. List 3 things you're thankful for. Whenever you catch yourself comparing, reframe it as motivation. And surround yourself with people who encourage growth, not comparison. You do become the 5 people you hang around with the most. And so make sure when you write down those 5 people's names and you put a plus sign, an equal sign, or a minus sign next to their name based on if you feel better, the same, or less than when you leave their conversation. Keep those plus signs closer. The negative, the minus signs, and the equal signs, we're going to keep at arm's length, which sometimes could be your family, right? You can love the messenger and throw away the message per Linda. I almost said Linda Rousey, Linda Tupin. By embracing the let them theory, Robbins encourages readers to let go of frustration of life's inequalities and refocus on their personal journey. Instead of competing, they can channel their energy into becoming the best version of themselves, which is the name of the event that we have this Saturday, Becoming the Greatest Version of You. And so we do definitely still have seats available. Would love to see everybody attend. I have to go. So thank you all for being here today. Those who show up, go up. I'm heading into happy hour and hopefully see some of you there. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.